What's going on, guys? Matt Cole here. Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday, March 26th. Man, we're in the middle of it right now, guys. This is all of our journeys. I'm talking about the coronavirus. Things are going crazy, man, but it's amazing. We're seeing some amazing things from amazing people coming together, stepping up, and it's pretty exciting. But I wanted to shoot this today talking about real estate. So I am a real estate professional. I help families buy and sell real estate. And if you own real estate, if you live in real estate, if you're thinking of buying, you're thinking of selling, you probably have some questions right now because there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. And so I took this past weekend. Whoops. That's my staging there. But I took this last weekend and I called over 75 real estate agents. I called probably 20 to 30 business owners. I have reached out to friends and family. And what I like to do most, believe it or not, is social media. I love getting in the comments and just reading comments from random people on posts that aren't mine, but pertaining to the economy, what the feeling is. It gives you a really good barometer of what most people are thinking, right? And then I went into, so I'm doing that. And then I took about a day and just really dove into financial crashes that we've had in the past, how that affected real estate, how that affected things in general. And it was interesting, man. A lot of fascinating stuff. And I got to say, like right now in history, this for me has been the first time that I have been able to access the information, because the last one we had in 2008, I wasn't really online. I wasn't doing too many things that would allowed me to know what's going on. I barely watched the news, but now you can go online, you could see graphs, all the information is online. So it's really hard to go, what do I decipher and what do I look for? And so I'm just looking at like common sense things and studying everything that I saw. I think it was all fear-based. So looking at all the crashes and everything, it's when people are uncertain or people are scared, that's when things freeze up, things go down. We've seen the stock market, and I've got that on here. I got a couple things that I'm going to show about that. And it's like a race to the bottom. And so I want to share my thoughts, what I found, go over a little bit of what's going on currently right now in real estate and where I think it's going to go, because I think there's a lot of uncertainty right now, and there's a lot of things that pertain to real estate that just affect it. I mean, things that don't necessarily have a direct correlation with real estate, but they're going to affect the real estate market, because if you look at real estate since 2008, the lending has been solid. So people that before could just basically fog a mirror and say, hey, I want a loan for $800,000. They'd give you a loan. And, that was one of the big problems with this financial crash that we had in 2008. But we're seeing this time, it's not a financial crash. It's almost like a bottom up crash. The 2008, the last crash that we're all most familiar with, it was a top-down crash, meaning the banks failed and there was bailouts for the banks and people couldn't get lending, money froze up, and so things just come to a halt, and so it was a top-down. Well, this time, without working, so we're all told to stay home, which we're doing, most people are doing, and unfortunately, that's affecting people's pay. And so what's happening is now at the lower end, people are running out of money. And I think the statistic is 70% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. And if anything unforeseen comes up during, a pay period, it's really hard for people to be able to manage those situations. And so we're seeing right now, this is dramatically affecting a lot of people. And I got some figures here to go over on that. And it's kind of eye-opening to see just how many people this affects. And, to put this into perspective, right now, I'm in a position where I buy and sell real estate. So this directly affects me, the people's qualifications to buy and sell real estate. But I always tell people ask me, is it a good market? And I say it's a great market because there's always somebody that's going to buy and there's always going to be somebody that sells. It may be a better market for one of those people, meaning if it's a seller's market and then the prices are going up, it's a better market for sellers. And so if you're thinking of selling, it's a great market for you. It's a better market. If prices are going down and it's a new race to the bottom in real estate, it's a great market for buyers. And then there's a market where prices kind of stay the same. Interest rates are good. That's a great market for both parties. That's a normal, healthy market. And in 2008, we saw the bottom drop out. And so 2009, 2010, we hit the bottom and then we've slowly started climbing. So it's been an increase. And I would say it's been a buyer's market from 2010 to 2015 because prices were still amazing. Interest rates were absolutely amazing. I think 2015 through 2017 was a seller's market. And then 2017 to current has been a neutral market where we're seeing fluctuations. There hasn't been an influx of inventory. Interest rates are still low. Things are going good. So the last couple of years, it's been a great market for both parties. But I think we're going to see some changes and it's going to benefit, I believe, the buyer coming up. I believe the buyer is going to be benefited in the next couple of years. But I don't know. I'm looking at the numbers going, okay, it's pretty scary because there's a lot of people that are trying to file for unemployment. So for me personally in 2008, and probably for a lot of people watching this, you're not going to be affected. Like this won't affect you. It doesn't hit you, doesn't hit home. But because like for 2008, I was working at a grocery store as a grocery manager. And my job was secure. As you're seeing right now, grocery clerks, grocery employees, like they're very, very needed and they're getting hours and they're actually making more money because they're getting overtime. And so, for me during the 2008, I never saw a financial crash. I never felt it. And if I didn't watch the news, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate. If you don't watch the news, if you were off social media, and if this isn't affecting you, would never know that this is even going on, right? And I was thinking about it earlier today, and I'm like, man, wouldn't it have been cool? Not wouldn't it have been cool, but imagine this. Imagine you went on a vacation and you went out to the mountains, right? I ride dirt bikes, and so let's say I took all of my family to the mountains, and we had enough food for a month, and we left. March 1st was the start of this vacation. And we said, all my family's with me. We have no cell phone. It's going to be time to get back and get whole and get right with one, right? Which, it's probably very, very difficult and not going to happen. But just hang with me here. And so let's say you did that and, you had some money in the bank because you're able to do this and you planned this vacation and you went and you didn't have cell phones and you didn't listen to the news. And you went and you enjoyed nature and you enjoyed the outdoors and you got back to just like the simplicity of life. You'd probably right now feel the best that you've ever felt in your life because you'd be calm. You wouldn't have a million things hitting you at a million different directions and you'd feel pretty darn good if you can think of that and put yourself in that situation, because you wouldn't have all these outside things telling you what you should believe and what you should think. And, imagine that and then coming back on April 1st and walking into what we're going to. It'd be like one extreme, oh my goodness, it doesn't affect me at all because I'm in the best spiritual place that I've ever been because I don't have my cell phone, I don't have TV, and, you wouldn't know what's going on around the world, right? And then you step back into the world where we have our cell phones, we have our computers, we have the TV, and we're just bombarded like I don't know what the statistic is. It's ridiculous how many times we're shown or we're looking at our phones, but we have so many opinions and there's so much information now that it's overwhelming and you don't know where to look and where to go. And it's like, it's chaos. And so, looking at all of the past market crashes and everything, it's all fear-based. Like it's people get into a panic and it's a race to the bottom. And we just saw that in the stock market. So let me pull up some numbers and then we'll talk real estate because these numbers affect real estate. So let me pull this up. So I personally do not invest in the stock market. I don't understand it. I don't trust it. I should say I just don't trust it, right? I feel like it's me giving my money to somebody else for them to gamble. And I'm sure people out there watching this going, oh my goodness, it's not like that. But that's how I feel. That's my belief. I don't put any money into the stock market. All of my investments are within real estate, myself, other avenues of things that I understand. Because if I don't understand it, then I shouldn't be involved in it. And so I don't get into the stock market, and I'm not going to pretend like I know what the hell I'm talking about. But if you look at this, and this is a 1 year on here, so 1 year on here, and we're trending up. And let me go to a 5 year, so we can go 5 year, and then we'll go back down to 1 year, and hopefully you can see this. But in a 5 year span, so this is, let's say the beginning of this was June 2015, and then we're on an upward, and then we kind of have this, and this is where we hit, last week, 2 weeks ago. And so let me go back to the 1 year, and if you go from the peak on here, and this is going to affect people's buying power, and this is why I'm bringing this up, because it does pertain to me in real estate, because it affects things, right? I see a lot of people that use their retirement as down payment money. So at the peak, we were 29,000 points, right? And then it dropped down all the way to, looks like 18,000 points, 18.5. So 10,000 points off, right? So let's just take a 30,000 point, stock market here, Dow Jones, and you knock off 10,000 points. That's 1/3 of all of the money that's in there. So if you have $100,000 in the Dow Jones and 1/3 of it's taken off, now you're looking at, you have $65,000. So you just lost $35,000, ballpark figures, but you lost some money, and that affects you, and then affects people's buying power. So this is why I bring this up, because it affects real estate. This is something that'll affect real estate in the future. And I'm going to talk about what's going on in real estate right now as well. But this is something where people may have been looking to purchase. Now they're going, oh man, that money, I don't have that money to invest anymore. I talked to a couple agents. Like I said, I talked to a lot of agents over the weekend. I got on the phone and I was just picking agents' brains. What do you think's going on? How's your business? What are you feeling? What do you think? How are we going to do this with this new coronavirus? Showing properties, listing properties, buyers, the whole gamut, right? And so I talked to a couple and they're like, yeah, my buyers were in the middle of a purchase and they were using funds from the stock market, their retirement, 401k money. And it took, 1/3 of it got wiped away. They had to cancel the transaction. There was 2 of those that I heard had to cancel transactions because they had money in the stock market that they were going to use for down payment. And this is why I bring this up. And you're not going to hear any agents talk about this. I'm just bringing you, what I'm looking at. This is real. This isn't sugar coated. I'm just looking at facts. I'm looking at numbers. I'm talking to people. I'm getting a feel for what's going on. So that way I can advise my clients the best possible way. So that way we can navigate through this. And this is all real stuff. Like this is happening. Even if the economy next week picks right back up and, we all get out of this self-quarantine and we're saying, okay, go, we're good. We got this under wraps. We found this magic pill that people can take and you don't have to worry anymore, right? Even if that happened, these numbers still affect down the road because there's still losses that took place. There's still a lot of businesses that were affected by this that may not be able to open their doors just because of this situation. And, and you may not think that, but I was talking to a lot of business owners, like I was telling you, and I have one buddy of mine who's a business owner, and I was talking to him, and he's got like 50 employees, right? And so just a small business, 50 employees. And if you're not a business owner, you probably don't think about this, and you hear people say, oh, the employees should continue, getting pay even if they're quarantined. And so this business owner has 50 employees. And so let's say on average, it's $1,000 a week per an employee. So just in a 2-week period, and this is just ballparking, just looking at that and what that industry people make, about $1,000 a week, just ballparking it, that is $100,000 in a 2-week span if that small business had to keep their doors open, not doors open, but kept their employees, giving them money. And as a small business, like how long can you honestly do that, right? As a small business, you're borrowing credit, you're building, you're growing. You don't have millions and millions of dollars to fall back on. Margins are usually tight. You have overhead. And, so something like this, even though that business, a month ago was thriving and it still is, they're doing, they're navigating just like all the other business owners that I'm talking to. They're navigating, people are navigating. But just think about that, $50,000 a month. And this doesn't include the PG&E. This doesn't include the real estate lease. This doesn't include any of the vehicles, the drivers. I mean, this doesn't include all of the other stuff. So if you put all that in there, you're probably looking more like $75,000 a week in a small business. And so, when you look at that's a lot of money. And how long can a business keep that afloat, especially restaurants right now? And, in the Napa Valley, and I service the Napa and Solano County. And so Napa is a very hospitality driven market. A lot of people that work in restaurants, work in wineries, all these people are not working right now. This affects our community in Napa. And so, you look at this number here, and a third of the stock market took off. And so unemployment. So this was eye-opening to me. So this is a 10-year history, unemployment percentage wise. So let's look at February 2020 was 3.5% unemployment. So that's really good. Like that, if you're looking at this whole map in 2010, when the market was still coming back and people were still trying to recover, February is 9.8, and every year it's gotten better, and we're at 3.5%. But right here, like I got this, and this is a new release, so this is very, very relevant. .gov. This talks about how many new filings there are for unemployment. Let me read this. In the week ending March 21st, the advance figure for seasonally adjusted initial claims was 3,283,000, an increase of 3,001,000. So right here. So this is how many people filed for unemployment this last week. 3,283,000 people filed for unemployment. Last week, the week previous, it was, or let me rephrase that. This was an increase from the week previous of 3 million people. So on average, they're saying about 200 down here, about 230,000 people were on unemployment. So getting unemployment benefits. So from 230 in 1 week's time, that number went from 230 to 3,283,000. That's a huge number. Like that's a huge increase. That's 11 times from the original. So if you do 232,000 times 11, you come up pretty close to the 3 million. Percentage wise, that increase. So if you times the percentage, so if we go back to this and you have 3.5% right here and you times that by 11, you're looking at 35%. And if we hit a 35% unemployment, that's just crazy. And I think this is short term. I don't think this is going to be long term, but I think that these numbers are not going to drop back down to the 3.5%. And that's why I'm sharing them, because we don't know where the future holds. This is right now, this is happening, and we have to look at this and we have to look at the future, right? Because perfect example, I was talking to my wife and I'm going, man, if we would have paid more attention to the news in February when China had this virus and like watched what they were doing, we could have been much better prepared as a household to make sure that we were safe and secure and had what we needed before everybody went crazy, right? And so this is what I'm talking about, looking at things and going, okay, well, how does this affect the whole market? And so that's a lot. And so right here, I mean, this is in thousands, so 175,000 fluctuates, so that's where the 238,000. But then in 1 week's time jumps. Look at that. I mean, that's a hockey stick. Like that is a crazy, crazy number on there. So, those are some numbers I'm looking at. I was looking at history, fear, how fear drives things. But let's talk about what's actually happening in real estate right now. And then I'll talk about what I think is going to happen. So I got this. So this is North Bay Association of Realtors. And like I said, you're not going to see an agent sharing this information, but I want you to know this information. Like my job is to advise people and let me show you what I'm looking at so that way I can advise you, because I'm digging in deep right now. I got time. And in this, it talks about right down here, and it goes real estate sales. Let me see if I can. Leasing. So real estate sales and leasing are non-essential. And so it talks about that if your home is on the market or if you're trying to show property, like you should not be doing that. You should be self-quarantined. So me as a real estate professional, I'm not showing property. I'm not putting houses on the market. I'm not putting people in danger because, I'm trying to do my part and I don't want to go out there and I don't want to be a part of that. I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate that I'm able to do that without really stressing. But looking at this, it's like real estate's at a standstill. And I was talking to an agent and they were connected to some agents in the city, and in San Francisco, like they're not doing appraisals. They're not doing inspections. Like everything stopped in San Francisco. Here, we're still doing appraisals. We're still like, you could still function and real estate's still happening. It just dramatically decreased. So as agents, we're told not to show property, not to list property. If we list property, put it as no showings, especially if it's occupied. They're saying if it's vacant, different rules, different guidelines, but if it's occupied, like absolutely shouldn't have people going in and out. And so let's look at this. So I just doing some numbers. So I went on my MLS here. So this is my MLS, and I just started doing some search criterias last year to where we're at today. And I just typed them out real fast. But temporary off market. So this is people pulling their house off the market because of the coronavirus. So we had 97 houses come off the market from March 19th until today. So March 19th in California was when the quarantine took place, or shelter in place, I should say, started. So the 19th until today, 97 properties have been temporarily taken off the market. So we're retracting, like the real estate market, it's retracting, it's slowing down, just coming to a standstill. But showing those figures, even if there's a magic pill and next week we're good, there's still going to be some situations that create some downside in real estate. So, but look at these figures. It's it kind of balances it out in a sense. So active, so we have 746. So you probably can't see these numbers. It's probably pretty small, but there's 746 active homes on the market right now in Napa and Solano County. Last year, the same time, there was 925 properties that were active on the market. So it's a difference of 179 properties that are not on the market. And so simple supply and demand, right? Less supply. If there's a demand, the price is going to go up. So this may help things out in keeping prices stabilized, because if last year we had 746 homes and this year we had 925 with the potential buyers that are going to be falling out of the market, I'd be saying, hey, this is definitely going to lead to a price decrease. But with having less inventory, it's going to help level things out. So a difference of 175 hit the market since quarantine. And I thought this number was quite interesting, to be honest, because I thought this number would be lower and I thought past numbers would be higher. And so properties that hit the market, so March 19th until today in Napa and Solano County, 86 houses hit the market, like actually went active during shelter in place. That's interesting to me. And looking through those, a lot of those were like no showing until the shelter in place is over. So people are following the rules. But I thought it was real curious that the number was up. And so I took the week before, only 59 houses hit the market. And I went the week before and it was averaging probably about 65. So I went a couple weeks back. It wouldn't let me go to the previous year, but I went a couple weeks back and it was averaging about 65. So I'm looking at this 86, like that's an increase of people putting their house on the market. And then, so that was an interesting number. And then the solds here. So sold during quarantine. So there's been 88 properties that have sold from March 19th until today, the 26th, March 26th. But last year, the same time frame, there was 138 properties that sold during that time frame. So a lot less properties have sold. A lot more properties have come on the market, but there's a lot less inventory that's on the market. But if you were to take this 97, so this number right here, and add it to this 746 of the current active, let's just take 100. So now that takes us to 850. Now there's only 75 difference on the market. So those numbers are a lot closer. And so, looking at these numbers and talking to agents, here's what I think is going to happen. And we have the current rate right now. So mortgage rates saying 3.79. And that's going to fluctuate depending on your credit. And there's a lot of factors in that. But looking at these figures here and talking to the agents, I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a lot of properties hit the market. If you're in a position right now where you have equity in your house and you're uncertain about your job, if I was in your shoes, I would sell your house super fast, immediately, sooner rather than later. Take that cash out so that way you can support yourself, you can support your family. And it's such a great opportunity to do something you want to do the rest of your life, right? So you got to look at opportunities, and there's so much opportunity in front of us. You just got to look at the different avenues. So if you have equity in your house, but you're getting laid off of your job, I'd say, man, that's such a blessing in disguise. Because what you do is you take and you sell your house, you take that equity out, whether it's $100,000, $200,000, however much money it is, and now you use that to live off of. You go rent a place, but during the time that you're living, you figure out what you want to do and you go after that, right? You don't go after getting a job. Maybe you have an idea. There's something that you're passionate about. Now's the opportunity to be like, man, I'm going to start that right now, because it's always best to start businesses in down economies. Because if you can survive in a down economy, you'll thrive in an upwards economy. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for people It's just there's going to be some shifts. I think that the housing market is going to take a hit. I don't know how much it's going to take a hit, but just looking at the numbers that we went over, prices have to come down. I think we're going to see a lot of pent up supply that's been waiting to go on the market. I personally have 4 properties that were set to go on the market during this self quarantine. Those 4 properties are hitting the market as soon as this is released. So that's 4 that I have. And mind you, there's a lot of agents. So I guarantee there's a lot of agents that are holding onto their property. They're telling their clients, wait until this is over. As soon as this is over, we'll put your property on the market. There's going to be so much inventory on the market when this self-quarantine is over. It's going to become a great opportunity for buyers, because now if you're looking to buy, it's amazing time to buy because there's going to be more inventory for you to go out, and you're going to find that house that you love, and it's going to be okay. And I always tell people, like, people always ask me, like, oh, should I buy? Should I sell? And I never, I ask them what their plan is. Like, what is your goal, right? Are you trying to be an investor in real estate? And they go, what do you mean? I go, well, are you trying to time the market? Because I would think that's the dumbest thing to do ever. Like, if you're buying a house speculating on it going up, that's the wrong reason to buy a house. And the only reason I know this is because I bought a house thinking successful people own real estate, so I need to buy a house. Well, I bought my first house in 2007, the peak of the market. So I went through this as a buyer. The peak of the market, I was paying $3,300 a month on a property that would rent for $1,600 a month. So I was half of the money, underwater if I was to rent that property out. So when the market did crash, if I was like, oh, I'm going to go take advantage and buy something else, I couldn't, because I couldn't rent that property out. If I rented it out, I would then have to pay $1,600 extra to get it. I would have been much better off in 2007 renting a property out. And so I tell people when they go, is it a good time? Should I buy? It really depends on your needs, right? And some of those needs are stability. If you want to be stable in your property, not have to worry about a landlord kicking you out or having to sell or not taking care of business, or you wanting to make that property your own, and you can buy and it's relatively close to what it would rent for. So let's say you have a property and your mortgage is $3,500, but it'll rent for $3,000. I would say, yeah, buy, because the benefits outweigh the negative, and then you get the tax write-off. So at the end of the day, it's like you're paying the same amount of money, but now you control the property. You own it. You're in the school district you want to be in. You can paint it whatever color you want to paint it. You can add on to it. You can do whatever you want to do. You control it. And so you for sure should do that. If you're buying and you're over leveraging, you're going, well, $3,500 is a lot of money, and I'm hoping that the property will go up and, I'll have some equity. I tell people, and I tell them, even when the market was great, I go, that's not a good reason to buy. Like, you should not buy, and you should not overextend yourself. And I've told numbers of people, I go, you should go rent a property, a smaller property with less money, save more money if you want to own so bad, so you can put more money down so you have a lower monthly payment. Because at the beginning of this video, I talked to you about most people live, 70% of people live paycheck to paycheck. And to take on a big mortgage is something that takes a lot of responsibility, and you got to make sure your job is solid. So I think we're going to see some shifts in the market right now. As far as real estate, it's pretty stagnant. Nothing's happening really right now, but there are some properties hitting the market. So if you are in the market and you're in the market for the right reasons, meaning you want to be in a certain location, you want to control the property, you're not going to sell next year or the year after, you're not speculating on the market going up or down, like you want a long-term place where you can raise your kids, where you can be, then it's never a bad time to purchase a property. But I also learned during that time, you buy a property based off rent. So if the rents were $2,000 and the mortgage was $3,500, I would tell people, go rent. You're better off renting a property right now than you are buying. And so it just really depends on your situation. But if you're in the market to buy, there's going to be a lot of opportunity. I believe that there's going to be a lot of inventory that's going to hit the market in the next couple months due to this whole situation. Like I said, I have 4 that are going to hit the market. I have other investors that have properties that are rented out. They're telling me they're giving their tenants notice and they want to sell. I don't know what the long-term play is. I could speculate, but I'd probably be wrong, because if I had a crystal ball and I knew what was going on, I would be retired right now. I'd be out riding my dirt bike and I'd be enjoying my family and the things that, I want to do, because I would have bought as many properties as I could have in 2011 and, had those cash flowing and just living off of the cash flow. But I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know where this is going to lead to. This is a world issue. This affects the whole world. We as a society have never gone through something like this. It's never been on a world scale. The world's never been so closely connected. So we're going to see how this thing plays out. But I can tell you there's going to be so much opportunity. And if you are in the right state, or if you're in a position where you're not affected, like in 2008, I was not affected. If I would have waited to buy and just been patient, I could have bought in 2010 and had my payment would have been, I was paying $3,200 a month in 2007. My payment probably would have been $1,000, $1,200 in 2010, 11. So you got to look at those things, man. Patience is a virtue, especially right now. So right now we just got to tread water. But if you have a property that you have equity in and your job is unknown, I would sell that a lot faster, and I would jump on that. If I was in that position, I would sell sooner rather than later, 100%. If I was a buyer, I might sit this out and see where things go. And everything's relevant, right? If interest rates start rising, it doesn't matter if prices go down, because your payment's still going to be the same, right? So if interest rates go up to 4.5%, 5%, 6%, but houses go down 100,000, 200,000, your payment's still going to be about the same. So you got to look at all things. You can't go, I'm going to wait until the market crashes. Well, the market crashes and they have to stimulate, the stimulus isn't working. They have to jack up interest rates. That's going to affect your ability to buy as well. And so you might be better off buying now at a lower interest rate, finding the house that you want, because a lot of houses are going to hit the market, versus waiting for the market to go down, potentially have interest rates going up. So again, that's why you want to know why you're buying. Don't buy a home to speculate on it going up or down. You buy a property so that way you can control the property. You can be in the neighborhood you want to be in, and you're going to be in it for the long haul. You're not doing it for a short term. So my name's Matt Cole. Hope you got some information from this, man. I've been digesting so much stuff, and hopefully I shared it in a way that can help you understand it. If you have any questions at all, whether it be real estate or you just want to shoot the shit, since we're all on this self-quarantine, shoot me a message. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what's going on in your life. What are you seeing? I'm a super curious guy. Like, curiosity is what's driving me. Right now I'm sitting in my podcast trailer. Can't wait to get back up and doing this. I had people lined up. I was going to launch this the first week of April, but since this self-quarantine, had to cancel those guests. But I'm super curious, right? And even now more than ever, I can't wait to have a guest on here and be like, what are you doing business-wise? How's this affecting you? How are you navigating this? Like, I'm even more intrigued. And so, this might be a great opportunity for people to find their true calling, to find their passion. When one door closes, another one opens. Newton's law, one action is followed by an equal reaction. So much opportunity out there. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you have a great day. I hope you're enjoying this time with your family. I hope you're connecting with your friends. I hope that you're making the best of it. Like I said, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Again, my name is Matt Cole. Take care.